Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Marisa Kazem, and today I'm going to be showing you my December setup in my bullet journal. So for this month, as I said in my previous video, I am not doing a Christmas theme. I decided to go with just a mountain and dark blue sky theme. And the reason I wanted to do this is because this is going to be a very difficult month for me. For those of you who don't know, my dad passed away earlier this year in February, but he actually caught COVID in December of 2020. So December is just going to be an emotional month for me, and I wanted to do a theme that felt comforting and relaxing for me to look at. And I don't know about you, but when I look up at the sky at night, it is just so beautiful, and it really reminds you how small we are on this earth in comparison to everything that's out there. And I just find that comforting, and so I thought I would have that for my journal in December. So to create this theme, I used dark blue gouache paint, and I just did 2 layers in whatever shape I wanted, and I also used some gold acrylic paint to go over some of the gold stars. And I don't know what happened to the quote section here. My footage disappeared, but this is what the quote says. As the days turn into night, keep your worries out of sight. Close your eyes and go to sleep, for all the good times are yours to keep. I don't know where I saw this quote. I don't know who it's by, so if you know who the quote is by, please let me know so I can give them credit. But it just sounded so peaceful to me, especially because December, like I said, is a difficult month for me. And I normally look at that quote right before bed. Like when I'm filling out my journal at night, that's when I see the quote. And so I thought it'd be fitting to have a quote that's comforting right before I go to bed. So now we're on to my monthly calendar and my monthly goals page. I wanted to keep it very simple. That was the big thing I wanted to do with this month as well, just keep this journal simple. And I feel like the artwork that I decided to do looks more time consuming than it was. This whole setup took me in total about 4 hours to film, and that's just filming. Obviously I took breaks in between, but it didn't take me that long because painting a big blue splash is very quick, and drawing little star doodles doesn't take that long. But I feel like this spread looks like there was a lot of effort put into it, so that's one of the things I really love about this theme. Also, for this calendar spread, you'll see that I painted all the way to the edges of the page, and that was an accident and I didn't mean to do that. So later on you'll see I'll stick down some white paper over the corners just so that it matches, and I have a white border around the illustrations just like all the other spreads. For all of the stars in this theme, I used 4 pens in total. I used 3 different versions of the white jelly roll. I used the size 10, 08, and 05. I used the 10, which is the fattest nib, for the big stars, and then I used the 08 and 05 to create a lot of the smaller dots. The really tiny dots are the 05, and I love them because they just made the whole thing look more sparkly. And then I also used a gold jelly roll pen to do the gold stars, and then I went on top of the gold with gold acrylic paint just to make it look more metallic and more vibrant. So this next spread is my positivity log and mood tracker. I still like to do these every month. I find them very motivating to do and to fill out, and I feel like it enforces and encourages you to be in a more positive mood. For this mood tracker, I was not sure how to do it. If you've seen my previous months, you'll know that I often like to do these little graphs instead of creating a colorful picture. So basically, I would normally have a list from like 1 through 30 or 31, and I would draw white lines to indicate my mood, and the shortest line would be a bad mood and the longest line would be a happiest mood. But I really wanted to do this on the blue background, and I wasn't sure how to make it fit at first, so I decided to do 2 rows of days. So the first row goes from 1 to 15 and the second row is 16 to 31, and I just have a much shorter line graph for each of them, but I'm basically going to do vertical lines every day for my mood. And I thought it would be really fun, and I'd get to draw over the starry background, and I just liked it. It's not the most pleasant to look at, but I still preferred it than doing a regular mood tracker like I've done before. So now we're on to my habit tracker and weight tracker. And again, I just wanted to keep this spread simple, have my little calendars and my graph again, and just a beautiful illustration on the bottom. I thought that would be the simplest way to do this, instead of trying to incorporate mountains and stars into my spreads. If you've seen my previous videos, you'll know that, for November, my habit tracker was a bunch of mirrors, and I thought that was really cool. But like I said, I wanted to keep December very simple and just do artwork where I felt like the page needed it, instead of incorporating it into all of my productive elements. So one of the reasons that December is going to be so difficult for me is because my dad tested positive for COVID on the 26th last year. So literally the last day that we were all together and we were all happy was December 25th, which was, celebrating Christmas. And it was our normal happy Christmas, just like how it's always been. And then from the 26th onwards, I didn't get to be around him properly because he was quarantining, and then he just got worse and I had to take him to the hospital twice, and he eventually died in February. And ever since Christmas, my life has never been normal, and it's never been the same this past year. So that's why I did not want to do a Christmas theme. I am normally a huge Christmas fan and I love Christmas, but this year I'm not celebrating it because I just can't. It's just too painful. Especially because for me, my dad has always made Christmas what it is for me. Like, Christmas sounds just so weird without my dad in the picture. And so I just don't want to celebrate it at all. It's kind of like a year of silence to kind of respect him. I just need a break. I don't want to do anything festive. So that's kind of why I did not want to do a Christmassy theme this year. And the starry night sky is just much more calmer to me than seeing red and green and Christmas bells and all that. Like, I just can't handle it this year. So that's why I went with this theme. And also, for this month, as you can see, this spread, it's titled For My Dad, and I just wanted to have 2 blank pages where I can maybe write something to him or draw something or just do something for my dad this month in my journal. It's just very difficult not having him here, and, I thought I'd dedicate something to him. So now I'm onto my productivity log, and I'm sticking with the same layout I've done for the past, I think, 2 months. I used to have this whole section centered within the 2 pages, but I found that shifting it over made it a lot easier when I wanted to track my sleep and also write my notes. I have more room, and then I also have more room for a proper illustration. So again, I'm doing the mountains and the blue sky. I basically did the exact same illustration on each page. I just maybe changed the shape of each mountain, but overall I love it. It was nice and simple. This was like one of those setups where I really didn't have to think. There was like no real effort put in. It was just so simple. Once I had figured out the front page and I knew how I wanted it to look, from then on it was just like mindlessly painting and drawing. Like, when you drive to the same location every day, you kind of forget how you even got there because it's so automatic. That's how this theme ended up becoming for me, and I actually love that. Sometimes I would hate that when it's something artistic, but this was just perfect for me. So I'm doing the same weekly setup as last month and the month before, except this time I'm adding a meal tracker to each spread. Not really a tracker, but just like a place where I can write down what meals I'm having. I feel like I just need to be more mindful and plan out my meals because I hate having to resort to frozen food or like something really quick. Like, it literally drives me mad. And I log my calories and everything in a proper app, but this is just so I can have a plan. I can write down my breakfast each day, I write down my lunch, and I can plan it throughout the week. And then that way I know ahead of time what ingredients I need to buy, and I'm just hoping this will make my life easier if I actually have a place to write it down for each day of the week. And I still have room for 2 illustrations per weekly. I'm only showing how I set up 1.5 of my weeklies, and you'll see what I mean by that once we're done with this setup, because all of my weeklies this month are going to be the exact same. They look identical, except the last weekly, because it's not a full week, I added a little extra thing in there. But yeah, so I basically have a nice big box for each day of the week, and I created the little Dutch door. And I have room to write a quote as well, which I have found very helpful when I'm going through something difficult. I swear adding all of the little tiny white dots with the 05 jelly roll just makes the whole sky come together and makes it actually look like a sky. So here you can see all of the weeklies set up. I just did them off camera because they are the exact same for each week. And you'll see that I'm going to finish off the last weekly on camera so you guys can see what I'm doing. It's basically the same, but just a little more artwork because this month ends on a Friday. So I just wanted to have a quote on this week that says, "Goodbye to this chapter, goodbye 2021. And I don't know, saying goodbye to this year is actually kind of sad for me. I mean, you would think that since I've been through such a rough year, I'd be happy to move on to the next year. But this isn't the type of problem that you can leave in the past, you know. My dad dying is rough, and 2021 is the last year I spoke to my dad. It's the last year I saw him, the last year I hugged him, you know. It's a lot of lasts. And it was also a lot of firsts. It was so many first experiences without him. My first birthday without him. First Christmas without him. You know, there's a lot going on this year, and saying goodbye to it is kind of sad because, you know, I'm moving on to the next year without him here. And it's, I don't know, it's bittersweet. It's like, yes, I'm happy to move on to a new year. Hopefully better things can happen. But I can't undo the bad that happened. This is not something I can change and fix. I just have to accept it and let it go. And that's difficult. I've never had to do that in my life with anything. But someone's death is something you cannot work around. It's out of your control completely, and it's been very difficult to grasp that. But I just wanted to say that. That's how I decided to end that weekly. And I'm now moving on to my monthly check-in and my monthly review page. So I always do this at the end of every month. I find that it's helpful for me. Basically, my monthly check-in, I fill in twice a month. I'll fill it in the middle of the month and the end. And then the monthly review, I fill out at the end. And they are basically just prompts and questions that I like to fill out. And I like to look back at every month and see what I wrote, and it shows how my mind is evolving and adapting, and I just like it. For this one, I was not sure how to do the illustration of the mountain because I like to do an illustration centered on my monthly review page, and I just decided to do a very long, narrow mountain with a narrow sky. It kind of looks a little weird, but I ended up liking how it looks. And on the other side, I just put a quote that says, "Focus on the great things ahead," because, like I said, there are bad things in my past, but you know, the future, there are great things. I have plans and I want to stick to them, and that's where my mind needs to be. It needs to focus on the future. So here is the final flip through. If you made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching and thank you for listening. I just kind of needed to dump out my feelings for this video, and I thought of no better place to do it than in the public view, right? I mean, because that makes sense. But thank you so much for watching. I really hope you guys liked this setup and like this theme, especially if you're not big into Christmassy themes, then hopefully you can incorporate something like this into your journal. And I just love how simple it looks, and it came out exactly how I wanted. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.